So one thing that John had mentioned in Ephesians 6, verses 1 through 3, was the importance of children obeying their parents. And one thing that really stood out to me was in verse 3, where it says, so that it may go well with you and that you may have a long life in the land. And something that I really enjoyed studying when I was in school was called attachment theory. And this is a secular theory and a theory that is backed up by a lot of researchers who are not Christian psychologists, but I feel like it pairs very well with the scriptures and just how we see God creating us and wanting to interact with his people. So God created us to be relational people, and he created us from the beginning to have a relationship with him. And we can see that when we interact with each other as people on earth. It's so important for us to have relationships here on earth that we can see problems come up when those relationships aren't present. From birth, we are designed to attach to mom and dad. And research has even found that when a child does not receive physical nurturing and relationships and this bonding between this caregiver and the child, that these other problems come up. And there has even been some instances where, like, an orphanage found that these babies kept passing away even though they had all of their physical needs met. They were fed, they were cleaned, they had a place to sleep, but they kept passing away and they couldn't figure out why. And it was because that they didn't have those interactions with an adult that cared for them and that loved on them and showed that they were valuable. And so I think that is such a piece that shows the significance of us having positive interactions, not only with each other, but parents as children too. When we are raising children, we're communicating with them through every interaction. If we as a parent to their child are caring for them and meeting their needs, when they're hungry, they cry, someone's coming to feed them. When the baby is maybe has a dirty diaper, they cry, that's uncomfortable, someone comes and cleans them up. And that communicates to them that their needs are important and that they're loved and someone's there to care for them, and even that they're safe too. But as we grow up, those needs don't go away, and they sometimes become a little more complex too, because our brains become more complex. So when abuse is present too, we can see the extreme examples of this too, even though it has an impact on all levels as well. But when abuse is present, if maybe a parent has very harsh discipline and there's physical abuse, that child is learning from those experiences. And they're maybe learning that my parent isn't safe. My parent is hurting me, therefore they must not love me. My parent is getting on to me for something bad that I did, and I don't really understand it, so therefore I must be bad. And that really sticks with them for long periods of time. And if you don't work through that, as through therapy, through self-reflection, then that has the potential to stick with you for the rest of your life and have other impacts outside of just your relationships as well. If a parent is not maybe meeting those needs, maybe they're neglectful, that can then communicate to the child that your needs aren't as important. And as the child gets older and they have these beliefs about themselves based on these interactions with their parents, then that impacts everything that they do. If I believe about myself that I'm no good, through my experiences, I learned that I won't amount to anything, then I'm not going to try in school because I don't believe I'm going to be successful in it anyways. I'm not going to do extracurricular activities because I don't think I'm going to excel at it. And then I kind of fall behind because I don't have the confidence in myself to try new things, to put forth effort. And we can see how these beliefs and having a poor attachment can affect the success of adults later on in life. We can even see that it impacts the physical health of adults and of children as they're growing and developing. If a child is not getting their basic needs met, or their basic emotional needs met, if they are crying out for help for their caregiver, if they're reaching out and longing for that emotional connection and they're not being met with that, that's a primary need that's not being met. And their focus is going to be on survival, so they're not going to be able to thrive. And therefore, if they're not getting those needs met, then you can see how brain development and even physical development is delayed as well. So drawing that back to this verse in Ephesians 6, verse 3, you can see how it says, so that it may go well with you, that you may have a long life in the land. It's important for parents to discipline and care for and love their children in a way that is healthy and appropriate, but loving and kind as well, so that they are set up for success and they are healthy and that it will go well with them and that they can have a long life in the land.